Hey guys! Sorry, just doing a little adjusting of the camera. Get it just right. Hang on 1 second, guys. Let me just get myself just right. Alright. Thanks for coming to another one of my live streams. Just an update on me. I have managed to stay out of the hospital all week. I finished all my IV antibiotics, so tomorrow I go for my super fever catheter change for a new uninfected one. Other updates, all of my caregivers and teddy bears that are like my babies are doing well. On to Saving Destiny. We left Destiny in chapter 15 in mid-crisis. It was the eve of her birthday, and she was convinced that she had to kill herself or her parents would die, so she ran up the stairs and tried to dive headfirst out of her second-story window. CMG, who was her one-to-one, grabbed her, and then he and Kara put her in a restraint hold on the floor. She was in the restraint hold 2 hours, and where we pick up reading in chapter 16, she is still in the restraint hold. So here we go. We start with Destiny's perspective. Suddenly, my whole body felt shaky and weak. I let it go limp and just listened as Kara continued telling me about the garden. Good job, CMG told me. If you can try staying calm and in control a little longer, then we can attempt to let you out of this restraint again. I nodded. After several minutes, CMG told me he was going to let go of one of my arms. If you struggle or try to pull away, we're going to put you right back in the restraint, though, he warned me. I nodded again. CMG let go of one of my arms, and I left it there. Several minutes later, Kara let go of my right leg, then Sam let go of my other arm, and then finally, Kara let go of my left leg. Okay, I want you to just lie there for a few more minutes to show us that you can be calm, and then we'll let you get up, CMG explained to me. My body was so tired and weak that I don't think I could have moved if I'd wanted to. Kara continued rubbing my back and telling me about the garden. Her voice was so calm and soothing. When they let me get up off the floor, I sat on my bed and rubbed Blinky's head gently. I felt completely drained. Just so you know, someone from Crisis Services is going to come talk to you soon, Sam warned me. Crisis Services evaluates whether you need to be in a psychiatric hospital or not. I couldn't go to the hospital. I still might need to kill myself tomorrow to save my parents' lives. Going back to the hospital would be a big failure on my part, too. Plus, I liked it a lot better at the Jackson Center than I did at the hospitals. My mind thought back to how much Kara had just helped me. Please, I don't want to go back to the hospital, I whispered, trying unsuccessfully not to cry. They just need to talk to you, that's all, Samji tried to reassure me. It'll be okay. Kara rubbed my back again. It will be okay whatever happens. We'll get you through this. When is the crisis worker coming? I asked. In the next hour or so, Samji told me. I looked at my watch. It was 9:30 at night. I'd been in the restraint for almost 2 hours. 2 hours of a messed up blur in my head. By the time the crisis worker arrived, I had gathered myself mostly back together. Kara and CMG had brought me up a glass of cold water, and I'd been resting on my bed with Blinky in my arms. Hi, Destiny, the worker greeted me. Can you tell me a little bit about what's been going on? I was scared, and I wanted to die so nothing bad would happen. But now I'm okay, I told her. The first 2 points that I'd brought up were true. I purposely left out the part about maybe needing to kill myself the next day. What helped you feel better? She asked. The staff here, Kara, helped me a lot, and I think my Haldol PRN helped me too, I answered honestly. I continued to reassure the worker that I would be fine and safe if I stayed at the program. The whole time, I kept the fingers on my left hand crossed, praying inside that she wouldn't send me to the hospital. She went to talk with CMG. I waited on the bed, rocking Blinky back and forth, and praying that everything would work out. Finally, she came back in. So we are going to let you stay here tonight. You need to keep using your coping skills and keeping yourself safe. If there are any more problems, we're going to have to come back out here and reevaluate the situation, she informed me. I exhaled loudly and felt my whole body relax. Thank you so much. I was so relieved. I felt like hugging her. After the worker left, I climbed under the covers and tried to sleep. All night, I dreamt images of my parents lying there, dead in the living room. I would jerk awake every hour or so and look around. Anna, one of the main overnight staff, was always sitting at my door. I would look around the room, remind myself it was just a dream, and go back to sleep for another hour. Morning crept in painfully slow. I pulled myself out of bed and got dressed. I tried to look around. I would look around the room, remind myself it was just a dream, and go back to sleep for another hour. Oh, sorry, I just read that part again. Sorry. The voices of the bad man and the storyteller were back and booming loud. The images of my parents' bodies were etched in my brain. After their visit, that is your time to save them, the bad man told me. A life for a life, a tit for a tat. That is the only way. You will save them. Rescue, fire, safe, house, save them. I nodded quietly so the bad man would know I wasn't ignoring him. My parents gave me big hugs when they arrived early in the afternoon. I hugged them back so hard and didn't want to let them go. It was such a relief to see them alive. When I let go of them, I saw tears in the corner of my mom's eyes. We love you so much, my mom told me. I love you too, I told them both back. My voice was thick with tears as well. My mom smiled, but I could still see sadness in her eyes. I felt guilty because I knew I had put the sadness there. We didn't discuss the events of the night before, or my birthday, even though it was the purple spotted elephant in the room. I knew staff had called my parents last night to tell them what had happened. When it was time for my parents to leave, I hugged them again. This time, I hung on even longer. I was so scared it would be the last time I would ever see them. I was about to make the ultimate sacrifice. I was about to trade my life in for theirs. A couple of hours after my parents went home, the whole room suddenly felt alive with electricity. I could feel it thrumming through my body. Suddenly, I knew it was time. I knew waiting any longer would put my parents' lives in too much danger. The window, the jump, the freedom, you will save them. A tit for a tat, a life for a life. It will all come out even in the end, the bad man sang out. I looked around the room from my position on the couch. Kat was sitting on the other couch with her headphones on, listening to her iPod. Kara was sitting on the chair, reading a book. Go, She will go now, the storyteller urged me. But I could wait no longer. I jumped up and bolted for the stairs. Once again, I didn't say going up as I took the stairs, 2 at a time. I knew that I'd get in trouble for that in normal circumstances, but I didn't plan on living through the rest of the day, so it didn't really matter to me anymore. At the top of the stairs, I went straight into my room. This time, instead of trying to open the windows, I just tried to put my fist through it. My hand bounced back instead of cracking through. I tried again, harder, but this time my hand just bounced off again. Suddenly, I felt my attempt foiled. Arms clamped around me and pulled me away from the window. "Let go!" I shrieked with animalistic terror in my voice. "You have to let go! I have to die!" The arms wrestled me down to the floor. There were even more arms. There were voices attached to the arms, telling me to stop it. I thrashed my body around as hard as I could to break free of the arms. "You need to calm down," a voice was saying. "You must die, trading your life, like trading cards," another voice was saying. "Die, die, die," a third voice shrilled. "It's okay, calm down. This isn't the answer," another voice told me. I didn't know what to do, who to listen to, or how to calm down. All I knew I could do was physically fight the arms on me. Somehow, I figured, if I could just get away from the arms, then things would make more sense. So I continued to fight the arms, but before I knew it, I was on the ground. "I will die! I will kill myself!" I kept crying out to assure the bad man that I hadn't given up, that I would save my parents, and that he shouldn't do anything to hurt them yet. At some point, a nurse came in with that familiar calf-tip syringe filled halfway with peach liquid. She held it in front of my face to tell me it was my PRN, as-needed dose of Haldol. Then, without asking me whether I wanted it or not, she pushed it through my J-tube. Now, I was terrified that I would get tired and lose the fight. I needed to keep all my energy up. I had to save my parents. "Do you think you need to be in the hospital?" Kara asked me. She had her body weight leaned over my upper torso and was holding down my arms. Her face was near mine. It had concern in it. "No, no hospital," I cried. "Well, your behavior right now is showing us that you need to be in the hospital," Kara explained to me as gently as possible. "If you can't be safe and calm down, then you're going to have to go to the hospital." "No hospital," I repeated. I wanted to say more. I wanted to explain how scared I was about the bad man and how I had to save my parents' lives. I wanted to say all of that, but my thoughts were getting so scrambled and stir-fried in my head that none of the words would even form in my brain, let alone come out in complete sentences. Instead of explaining everything, I just continued to thrash and cry. After about 20 to 30 minutes, the voices of the bad man and the storyteller got quieter. My thinking got calmer and more orderly, and reality seemed to come back into focus. My whole body felt drained. I stopped bucking against the hands holding me in the restraint. Limb by limb, the staff let me go. When they let me go completely, they told me to lie still on the floor for a few minutes to prove that I could be calm and in control. After my few minutes were up, I crawled over to my bed and lay down on it, curled against Blinky. "Are my parents okay?" I asked Kara, who was now sitting in my doorway. I was terrified to hear the answer. "Of course they're fine. They were just here a few hours ago, remember?" Kara told me. "You're sure they're fine?" I asked. "Well, you can call them and check," Kara suggested. "Can I call them now?" I asked. Why don't you show me that you can be in control in your room a little longer, and then I can let you call them, Kara suggested. The whole time I was waiting, I sat on my bed with Blinky in my lap and rocked back and forth, back and forth. In my head, I silently prayed, please let them be okay. I'll give anything to let them be okay. I'll do anything. Just let them be okay. After half an hour, Kara told me that I could call them. Going down, I announced at the top of the stairs. Okay, Kara responded. She followed me very closely behind on the stairs, never letting me get too far ahead of her. Once downstairs, I walked through the kitchen and into the little corner where the phone was kept. I held my breath as the phone rang. It rang once, twice, 3 times. The horror was building up in my throat, making me feel like I was going to vomit. It rang again, and again, and then my mom answered. All of the air that I'd been holding in whooshed out of me. Thank God she was alive. Thank God. Hello, my mom answered. Hi, I squeaked out. Hi, Destiny. My mom's voice sounded like normal. She sounded okay. Are you okay? I asked her. Of course. Why wouldn't I be? My mom answered. I was just worried, I explained. The voices that I hear were saying that you weren't okay, that you were in major trouble. No, I'm okay. I promise, my mom assured me. Is Dad okay? I asked. Yeah, he's fine. He's sitting behind me, drinking a coffee, and sending off some research reports for work. Before I could stop myself, I was crying hysterically. I was just so relieved that they were okay. It was just so good to hear her voice on the other end of the side of the phone, sounding completely normal. The rest of the day was fuzzy. Things were happening, but I felt like I wasn't a part of it. I felt distanced. Staff followed me around like glue, and they were never more than an arm's reach away from me. I managed to stay out of restraints until the evening, when the voices got loud again. The overwhelming fear returned, and I felt like I was trapped in a burning building. Because of that pressurized, trapped, overwhelmed feeling, I ended up bolting for the door. Sam G grabbed me before I could even get off the porch, and then I was on the ground, right outside the door to Sharon House at the Jackson Center, in another restraint. Somehow, I managed to stay out of the hospital. The crisis service people came back, but I found it in myself to convince them that I would be okay if I stayed at the program. By the time bedtime rolled around at 9 p.m., I'd been given 3 extra doses of Haldol through my J-tube, even though I hadn't asked for any of them, and had been restrained 3 times. It's time for bed, Kara told me, after I got my nighttime meds, and she walked me up to my room. I followed her. I didn't know what was going to happen if I just went to bed, but I was so exhausted that I didn't have the energy to do anything else. Once I was in bed, I shut my eyes tight. Kara sat in a chair in my doorway, which made me feel trapped and safe at the same time again. Before I knew it, I was in a heavily medicated sleep. When I woke up on Sunday morning, I was still alive, and everything was quiet. Thank God. The first thing I did on Sunday morning was to call my parents. When they both assured me that they were still fine, I could breathe again. I had done it. I had made it through my birthday, and everyone was okay. But when I was in the living room, I could see straight into the staff office. On the board in there was a list of kids who had acquired consequence time. I had acquired 24 hours worth of consequence time, which was the most a Jackson Center kid could get. I was, in Jackson Center terms, maxed out. This meant during all free times, I would have to serve my consequence time in my room until I had served all 24 hours. This sucked, for sure. At breakfast, I drank a sugar-free iced tea in the tiniest little sips, trying to stave off serving consequence time as long as possible. You have to serve some of your consequence time, Tara reminded me as I dawdled. I'm going to sit in your doorway to make sure that you're safe, but we're not going to be able to talk, she warned me. I just nodded, still feeling completely drained from the events of the previous 2 days. Going up, I called out and headed for my room. Alright, that is the end of chapter 16. Crisis Mode is the name of that chapter. I really hope you guys enjoyed hearing it. Next chapter is going to be chapter 17. It's going to be a little less than a week I'm posting it. I'm going to live stream it. Venice. Oh, I'm glad you were able to identify with that overwhelmed panic feeling. Yeah, it's a really crazy feeling that Destiny had. I've experienced it too. Destiny's character obviously is based off me. She's fictionalized, but she's based off me. Some parts are fiction, some parts are true. It's a combination of fiction in my life, but it is based on me. And I have had that overwhelmed panicky feeling before. And that is a description of my birthday weekend, my 17th birthday weekend. That is what happened to me on my 17th birthday weekend at the residential treatment center that I was at, that the Jackson Center is based off of. Hi, Joan. Hi, Grace. Hi, Vivian. I'm glad you guys liked this video, and I'm going to end it here. Glad everyone enjoyed it. And please don't forget to share, comment, and subscribe. Love all you guys, and see you next time.